Hey guys, as many of you know, because of the recent coronavirus outbreak, there has been a huge increase in RVing popularity because, people, they still want to be able to get out and have some fun with their family, and just about the only way that people still feel safe doing that is by camping. And we totally agree with them. It is a excellent way to still be able to have some fun but be safe. However, because of that huge increase in RVing, you're also seeing a big increase in the popularity of dispersed camping.
Mm-hmm.
And
which, as many of you know, is our favorite way to camp.
Oh, absolutely.
And we always highly endorse it. Dry camping, boondocking, wilderness camping, whatever you want to call it, is amazing.
Yeah, but the problem is that now that you have this huge influx of new RVers into these dispersed camping areas, a lot of them don't understand the concept of pack out what you pack in. So what we're seeing now is a lot of dispersed camping areas being overran and trashed.
And this has us fearful that there could potentially be an end to dispersed camping. And we know from experience that the biggest contributing factor to dispersed camping being closed is trash being left behind. Now, to give you an example of a national forest that could potentially never reopen dispersed camping, last summer in 2019, the Prescott National Forest banned all dispersed camping in their national forest for 2 years. And their reasoning behind that was because they could no longer keep up with the trash being left behind. And 2019 was well before the boom here in 2020 of everybody wanting to buy an RV and go out and go dispersed camping. And while we truly do endorse dispersed camping, and we love it ourselves, and we love it when other people love it too, because it really truly is so much fun, it's scary knowing that whole national forests are shutting down their dispersed camping, especially near popular areas like Sedona. There's a lot of free camping around Sedona, and the Prescott National Forest is not that far away. And the fact that they closed it down there worries me that they could close more down in the Coconino National Forest, which is where Sedona is at. David and I have thought back to all of the campsites we've stayed at over the last 3 years. And we can't even remember one time where we have arrived at a campsite and there wasn't already trash there. Now, I'm not just talking little things here that someone just accidentally didn't throw in a trash can or a trash bag. I am talking people just leaving beer cans behind. We've seen just like Arby's bags and McDonald's bags just all over the place. But the thing that I think is the most infuriating, which happens a lot, is that we will arrive at a campsite and there are full, big trash bags just thrown into the bushes. That whoever was there before us took the time to bag up their trash, but then didn't take it with them. Instead, they threw it in the woods. And there is no faster way to get a campsite shut down than to do something like that. And I'm not lecturing any of you guys. We truly know that most of you would never do anything like that, and that you guys do what we do. When you get to a campsite, you clean up after everyone. But it's important to us to get the word out there that for those people that might come across our video that don't know that you should pack out what you pack in because they're new to RVing, or they don't understand that doing something like that, even if they think they're the only ones doing it, it's just gonna pile up, and the National Forest Service, BLM land, they are going to get too frustrated and eventually close places down. So yeah, I'm not trying to lecture you guys because I know that you guys are really awesome and you follow the same principles we do, and you love nature and you love being out there and exploring new places. So yeah, thank you guys.
But now I want to tell you guys about this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a website and online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. Whatever your interests are, you're bound to discover video lessons that will help you improve on Skillshare. From outdoor photography to starting your own business to creating the perfect grilled cheese. There are even video lessons on becoming a full-time RVer. I'm using Skillshare right now to improve at video production. I'm watching a class called Video Editing, Transforming Footage into Evocative Travel Stories by Oliver Astrolago, which has increased my skills in filming, music selection, and creative video editing. Skillshare is incredibly affordable at less than $10 a month for an annual subscription, and the first 1,000 people who click the link in the video description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium so you can explore everything Skillshare has to offer. Something else that endangers dispersed camping is just the incredible number of wildfires that happen in the western states every single year. This year, the state of California closed every single national forest in the state because of wildfires. And what has us worried is that every single year, wildfires get worse and worse in these western states. So it just doesn't seem all that unlikely that some of these states may close the use of the national forests during fire season. And I don't know if you guys know this, but fire season stretches from May to October. That's 6 months out of the year when, everyone wants to go camping. Before May and after October, you can't really go camping in the western states because all of the national forests, or the vast majority of them, are in higher elevation. So it's going to be pretty snowy, and I don't know about you guys, but we definitely can't get our rigs up into mountainous forested areas when it's snowing and cold. And it's not just California that experiences just an incredible amount of wildfires every year. It's basically every western state, from like the Rocky Mountains west, that have wildfire issues every year. And so some other states may follow suit. When they start having really bad wildfire issues, they could just close down, entire national forests, entire tracts of BLM land to public use, either, for the safety of the public so they're nowhere near the fires, or they might close them just so, the public doesn't happen to start any more wildfires in these areas. So what can we do as RVers that don't want to contribute to this problem? Well, if there are fire bans in the area, then do not have a campfire. Ro and I have been in national forests, in camping areas that have had a fire ban in them, and as we're driving down the National Forest Road, we see it all the time, people having campfires. And, I do know that the vast majority of wildfires are caused by lightning strikes. However, if there's a fire ban in the area, there's one there for a reason. And, you just really don't want to be the person that's responsible for burning down just an entire national forest, or endangering the lives of the people that live there, and potentially burning down houses or entire communities.
Something else we've seen that is in danger of closing are actually a lot of the attractions in the National Forest and on BLM land, especially attractions where it goes to a building or a rock face. So, for example, if you're going to a beautiful waterfall and there are a lot of rocks around, or if you go to a fire lookout tower or something, there could be a chance that the National Forest Service or the BLM rangers just don't want to deal with the vandalism anymore or cleaning up after it, so they'll close it down to where you either have to hike to it, making it more difficult for those that want to vandalize an area to get to, or they could just close it down permanently and no one can ever go to it. For example, we actually have a video that has shown this that came out just a couple of months ago, where we were going to a fire lookout tower in Washington State, and as we were driving up to it, there was a gate out front, and on the gate it said it was closed due to vandalism. And at the time, we thought that it had just recently been closed because the road looked like it had actually been used quite a bit. But we later found out that it had actually been closed for over 10 years because the National Forest was tired of the amount of vandalism that was happening up at that fire lookout tower. And that's not the only place this has happened. We have tried to get to campsites which have been, like, we found them online and they're not that old, and we go to them and there's a stake out front that the one that I'm remembering is from the BLM service. They put a stake out front so that a vehicle couldn't drive down it anymore, and it said that it was closed. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was closed because of misuse of the land. And so it's a very real possibility that places can get shut down just because of vandalism. So if an attraction that other people are going to can be closed down to vandalism, then it's not out of the realm of possibility that dispersed camping can also be closed down, not just from vandalism, because people vandalize at campsites all the time. We see names etched into trees, and we see people have painted rocks and left them behind, or just done all kinds of stuff at a campsite, and that alone can get places shut down.
Now, we certainly hope, and we don't really think, that dispersed camping all over the country is going to be closed down. However, we are genuinely concerned that it could be closed down in some of the most popular areas. However, it could certainly feel like dispersed camping has been closed down simply because of the fact that RVing and camping has become so popular in the last year. It could simply be just too hard to find a dispersed campsite, especially in some of the most populated areas. So, for example, something that comes to mind for us is the dispersed camping on the BLM land that is just outside of Moab, Utah, near Arches and Canyonlands National Park. We went there our very first year on the road, and the dispersed camping there seemed to be very wide open. There was plenty of dispersed camping. But then we returned there just a year later, and it was so hard, nearly impossible to find a dispersed campsite. That camping area that we had found was just completely overran with people. And again, that's before the huge RVing boom caused by coronavirus. So, it could just become harder and harder to find dispersed camping as the population of the United States, just grows, and as RVing and camping become more and more popular.
The last point David talked about is actually why we have taken down all of our campsite reviews. And it was by far the most difficult decision that we have made for our channel in the entire 3 years that we've been on the road. I started sharing campsite reviews with all of you in these really cool places that we've been able to boondock. Some of them have been, kind of meh, but they were a free campsite. And I thought it was important to share those boondocking locations with you guys so that you could go out and experience those really awesome places too. But what we have also found is that sharing those dispersed camping areas has overrun them by the small percentage of people that watch our videos that don't care about the lands. They just want to find somewhere free to camp. And unfortunately, I wish it didn't burden me so much, but finding out that areas that we have recommended have been shut down because one of the reasons people have gone there is because our videos have recommended it to them. One of them that I can remember is near Carlsbad Caverns, a camping area that I shared. It was actually the very first one I ever shared. Within just a year of me sharing it, they shut down that BLM land area because the rancher that was renting it decided that too many people were driving out there. So that's just one example of areas being shut down. But like David said, when we returned to the area we camped in Moab, it was full, very full. And we understand that both times we were there were during peak season, but it really opened our eyes to us sharing our campsite reviews helps burden the national forests and the dispersed camping areas with a lot of people. And while I would love to still share these with you, I personally cannot handle the burden of knowing that if I'm sharing a campsite to the public, then someone that is not as responsible as you and I are, because I know most of you that watch us are very responsible campers, if someone who's not responsible finds it and they end up starting a wildfire, or they end up getting it shut down because they didn't pack out what they packed in, or they were just the last straw of the national forest, damaging an area, I just can't personally handle that type of burden. When I first started sharing our campsite reviews, our channel only had about 1,000 subscribers. So for us, it really wasn't that big of a deal to share our campsites with those of us that really love what we do and want to go and check out some of the cool places we've seen. And I have thoroughly enjoyed sharing that with everyone, and everyone's enthusiasm to go out and try them is just so exciting to me, because that's what we've always wanted, is to get people to go out and travel more and experience these awesome places. Now that our channel has grown to over 100,000 subscribers though, every time I would share a campsite review, it would potentially open up these fragile areas to 100,000 people. And I'm sure that I don't have to do the math for you guys, but if 100,000 people want to go out and camp at these places, they're going to be overrun, they're going to get trashed, and they have a higher probability of being shut down. And I personally just cannot feel responsible for that. So unfortunately, I had to make the very tough decision to take our campsite reviews down, and I know many of you are going to be upset about that, and that's okay. I am upset about it too. I'm very upset about it, honestly. But we have decided to continue sharing our campsite reviews though on our Patreon. And so if you still really truly want to get our campsite reviews, I am slowly but surely publishing them all there on Patreon to be seen. So if you still want those, you are more than welcome to check them out there. And I just hope that this is the right decision, because it was by far the toughest one that we have had to make. We're comfortable sharing our campsite reviews on Patreon because we have just over 100 patrons, and so sharing our campsite reviews to such a small group of people makes us feel like we're not contributing quite so much to areas being overrun.
Now, we love that so many people this year are discovering RVing and camping and how much fun it is, and they're getting out into, America's public lands and exploring just these incredible tracts of land that we as Americans have available to us. And we also know that the vast majority of you guys watching are stewards to these public lands. You care about nature, and you're just as likely to clean up a trashed campsite as we are. And you know that, even though it's not your responsibility to clean up these areas, you understand that by doing so, you are helping to keep these camping areas open for the future.
Yeah, we just hope that this video reaches the select few of people, those that I like to assume that they are mostly just ignorant, they don't understand that you should pack out what you pack in, versus being super neglectful. We're mostly hoping that this video reaches them and opens their eyes to knowing that having access to the public lands, the national forest, BLM land, is a privilege, not a right, and they can decide to shut it down at any point in time. They have to make tough decisions all the time, and this could just be one decision that some places start making, and that is our biggest fear right now.
like we said previously, we've seen it firsthand that areas that we've been to that were open are now closed. So yeah, guys, just take care of your public lands so that we can all enjoy them long into the future. But that's it for this video. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Sweet Pea.
She's already on it.
You're saying goodbye, right?
Yeah. Say goodbye. Goodbye.